Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's call. As most of you know, I am Heather Doyle. I work with iPEC, the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching, just in case you didn't know why you were here. But I'm Heather Doyle. I work with iPEC Coaching, and with me today is Amanda Kaufman. She is a corporate strategist turned full-time coach. So those of you out there wondering, can I do this? Can I really make this a first-time gig? Absolutely. She did the program just this past year in 2017. So for those of you that have joined us for previous graduate success calls, a lot of times we have people on who, they graduated 6 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago. Well, I just want to point out, Amanda took the program last year, okay? In the 6 weeks before Amanda's oral exam for her coaching certification, she had already sold over $74,000 in coaching packages with one-to-one clients. And she is well on her way towards her goal of replacing her full corporate income, including benefits. So I don't know about you guys out there, but that was kind of a huge wow, Amanda, tell me more. And so we're going to be finding out more from Amanda on that. Now, Amanda also actually has a life. She is a wife and a mother of 4. She was actually pregnant when she was going through the program, and she gave birth to her son shortly after Module 2. So for those of you wondering, can I have a life and do this program and work? Amanda's got the answer for that one as well. Now, through the program, she also noticed a lot of positive shifts in her marriage and in her ability to achieve happiness. And so I'm sure she's going to be telling us more about those as well. But she is here to answer your most pressing questions. So those of you that are listening or tuning in via Facebook Live, feel free to type your comments, your questions into the comment section on Facebook Live. And the person that you can't see on this call, our wonderful producer, technological guru, Suzanne, she will take those questions and she'll toss them over to me so we get those answered. And those of you that are tuning in via the Zoom webinar link, down at the bottom of your screen, there should be a little thing that looks like a folder. If you click on that, you'll be able to type your question in there, and I'll actually be able to see it. So we can ask Amanda your questions, right then in real time. And I'm going to invite everybody to make sure to stay all the way through this call, because at the very end, Amanda is going to be sharing with us about her crush method for coaches and how you can get lots of free goodies on her free Facebook group. Okay. So with that said, thank you so much for being our graduate interview today for today's call, Amanda. So happy to have you here.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I am super, super excited to have you here and to hear more about your story. And so while we're waiting for people to type in their questions, because remember, everybody, this really is about you, okay? We don't have anything prepared. So if you don't ask questions, it's going to be really boring. But maybe you could actually just share a little bit more about your story while these questions are rolling in.
Absolutely. So thank you very much for the introduction and everything, spot on. So here I am today. I am a full-time coach and I work one-on-one with individuals. I spent 10 years as a corporate strategist in one of the big consulting firms. And before that, I was a chemical engineer. So I'm a bit of a transformation artist.
Wow, chemical engineer. Oh my gosh. Okay.
So,
awesome.
and even, dialing it back before then, I grew up in Inuvik, Northwest Territories in Canada, which is above the Arctic Circle. So whoa. I now live in Fort Worth, Texas. I think, honestly, all that change and transformation and it's like new directions and wanting to do this, this, and this. I was definitely not one of those kids that at 5 years old, I knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. I think that's what really attracted me to coaching in the first place. So, and, by being in the corporate strategy environment and wanting to have a life, I wanted to literally have it all, not just, wear the t-shirt. I got really invested in productivity and personal performance. And for me, coaching was really this missing link because I had learned so much about psychology and how a positive mindset really helps you with executing well. There's a lot of scientific studies that support that and positive psychology. I really struggled I struggled quite a lot with, okay, I get it. I need a positive mindset and a perspective, but how? And coaching was that answer. That's how you move into those perspectives and mindsets that you can really take the actions necessary.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you brought up a lot of your background. We have a lot of people that say, more of a technological background or not necessarily a traditional self-help background. I always tell people, I'm like, before I came to iPEC, I'd never even picked up like any of the self-growth, positive nothing, right? And I worked with, this is super sexy, large format scanners, printers, and raster to vector conversion software. Like, ooh, right? Right up there with chemical engineering.
Exactly. Distillation columns and refineries. Woo.
Yeah. So I hope what everybody out there is noticing is it doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter whether or not you've read a whole bunch of books or anything. It's your desire, right? Because what I heard you talking about was you always had a desire. You had a zest for learning and for growth, and you just followed that channel and that intention, and it's led you here.
Exactly. Really well said.
Awesome. We've got some questions rolling in. You guys are doing amazing, by the way. The first one is from, anonymous attendee. Very mysterious.
Hi, Anonymous.
Hi, Anonymous. Anonymous attendee would like to know, what made you choose iPEC for your training?
You know what? It was an accident at first. So
awesome.
I knew that I really loved productivity and performance. I had been a nerd on it for years. But when I was in corporate, I was an expert on procurement operating models for global organizations. So I did a lot of
that's super sexy too.
Right? And it's also proof that you can become a global expert in nearly anything, and your interest in it doesn't need to be very high. Sorry.
Nice.
But, the thing is that I was always looking for new ways of being more efficient, more productive, having higher performing teams, influencing leadership and influencing change, right? Because as a consultant, that's what it's all about. It's change and transformation in an organization. The coaching, though, I really didn't think that was the direction I was going to go. But I knew I wanted to shift from focusing on procurement to personal effectiveness. How does a person change? How does a person transform? And how does a person get a lot more out of their effort, right?
Mm-hmm.
I went to a networking event in actually almost exactly a year ago. And I met someone who found out about LPT Mod 1 training. And she texts me out of the blue and she says, hey, would you like to be my guest? It's coming up in March. And it was literally one of those, well, I guess my weekend is open. I really like this person. Why not? Right? I went to Mod 1 and I didn't plan to continue. I actually had a different coaching program in mind. However, my experience in Mod 1 was so powerful. It shifted my thinking, and it was one of those, clouds parted and then the choir sang, because I finally was tapping into that perspective shift I talked about earlier that was eluding me, that I was like, this is how I have to get better at this. And so I registered for the program right away.
Sorry, I couldn't get my microphone to unmute. So that's awesome. I love that story. I love it, because what it tells me is you got presented with an opportunity. And, I'm always saying to my clients, I'm like, half the battle is just saying yes, right?
So true.
You don't know what you don't know. So I love this. You got an opportunity and you were like, all right, I'll say yes, and I'll be open to it. And you were super open to it, and you had already chosen something else, but then you came and you actually experienced it, and you really understood what it was about, and you were like, yes, this is my path, and you followed it.
Exactly. And, I'll just mention that I'm doing the something else in a few weeks. Right.
Awesome.
So the other program, it's a high performance program, and it's a 5-day intensive. The reason I chose to use my budget for my professional development budget for iPEC was the content was amazing, and the experience. So many programs will say in a weekend, you're going to become a great coach. And what iPEC that did really powerfully and differently is we're going to put you through some paces of the experience of coaching. So, having over 300 hours of investment in the skill and practical practice with the skill, and multiple in-person experiences for the same price as this other thing that I'm going to go and do. And the other thing I'm going to go and do is it's going to be great. I mean, obviously I'm invested in it, right? But it wouldn't have given me that much experience off the bat.
Yes, I totally hear where you're coming from. And one of the other great things about iPEC, I always say, if we were a restaurant, we'd go bankrupt because we are literally the all-you-can-eat buffet that never closes. You become like this lifetime family member. You have the ability to go into the online student hub, the portal, and use our resources. And we have the monthly calls. We have so much, and I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole because I could literally talk about everything that iPEC includes for like another 45 minutes. But to your point, doing one doesn't necessarily exclude anything else. When we're coaches, we're lifelong learners. And yes, it is so much about, before I say what it's about, I'm going to say what it isn't about to impress upon your point. It isn't about just going for a weekend and being told, here, do this. It's about becoming, not just doing. And it takes a long time to become, and you do need that practical application, and you do need the experience of it. You've got to have live training. In my opinion, you've got to have live training to be a coach, a great coach.
Yeah, I 110% agree with you. There's always the theory of something, and then there's the application of it. And, I love theory. Theory is great, right? But until you really use it, you don't really know for sure that theory works, right? And yeah, I reflect on my iPEC experience. It really gave me the language. It really gave me real experience with the coaching in an environment of learning, right? As opposed to if I went out and I just started coaching, just hung that shingle, I wouldn't have had as much theory guidance. And I might have, if I was collecting money, not been as comfortable with that process if I just went out and did it.
Great points.
I don't even know if I would go out and do it the same way,
Absolutely. And I think this actually leads really nicely into a question that Jennifer is asking. Hi, Jennifer, out in Facebook land. Jennifer is asking, can you share what you believe to be the top 3 things that have made you successful as a coach so quickly?
Ooh, that's a great question. I love that. Top 3 things. Okay. Yeah. I think the first thing is an appetite for massive imperfect action. Right. So
tell us more.
Tell us more. What does that mean? Right. I identify with being a high achiever. Right. So, but sometimes that can feel a little like being a perfectionist. And the thing is that coaching is an art, and it is an imperfect art that you get better at as you go. So being willing to just take that step forward and have the faith that you will be supporting and serving someone well helps like a ton, right? So that's number 1. Number 2, I think being very critical about the value that coaching offers a person. And I mean, really. So sometimes we get wrapped up in our own head about like our own value as a person, our own qualities and so on. And then we start kind of discounting the value of what we're doing. And we kind of forget that as a coach, we're facilitating this process that's allowing someone to make massive change in their life that they either might not ever have made, or they might not have made with, gusto, confidence, and, performance, right? So for that reason, I didn't swirl on pricing my packages. And that's the third thing. I don't treat coaching as an hourly service, right? I think sometimes there's a lot of correlation between what coaching is as an experience and kind of other ongoing service provider type experiences. And for that reason, I think sometimes we tend to think like it's an hourly wage or an hourly work. And sometimes that's just even because we've come from a job, right? And that's the expectation. So I think the third really big thing is always looking at it as outcome based. I like to mention to the coaches that I work with, actually nobody buys coaching. What they buy is they buy a result and they buy confidence in achieving some kind of an outcome. Coaching is a way to get there. Coaching is a tool, right? So I think with that mindset, that also really helped. Yeah.
I love that so many things about what you just said resonate with me. Definitely resonate with the whole, it's part of how you value yourself. There's lots of videos of me out there. If you want to know more about that, I tell a pretty funny story about the first time somebody actually wanted to work with me and I was completely unprepared. Had all to do with about how I was valuing myself. The big thing though that resonated with me about what you said was the delivery. What are they paying you for, right? They're paying you for that result. And so it actually speaks to what you were talking about previously too. That's why it matters where you go to get trained as a coach. Can you do the service that you say that you can do? Can you get them the result that they say that they want? So for everybody out there listening, whether you choose iPEC or not, choose a program that's going to support you in getting that. Okay. So I think for me, that's a big, clear thing that came through in that. We have somebody else, another anonymous attendee, saying, what advice would you give someone new who may be considering becoming a coach?
Someone new considering becoming a coach. It's so funny because like the word advice really triggered something for me. Because as a coach, we actually don't give advice, right? Advice is
I know. I saw that word and I was like, ooh,
advice. No, I'm not going to tell you what to do, right? So I'm going to offer you my silver platter of here's what I did when I was thinking about coaching. What I did when I was thinking about coaching was I really looked at how I wanted to work with people and how I wanted to serve them powerfully. And remember, my background was as a consultant. So I already knew consulting. I could do consulting. I already had a lot of other things that I could pull on. Coaching, and as I came to understand through LPT with Leadership Potentials training, I realized that was a very specific skill set of a way of engaging in a co-created conversation with another person. And I went, ooh, I want that. I don't have that. I've been in the model of telling and giving advice for most of my career. This idea that the person, so anonymous, whoever you are, you know the answer already, right? So my silver platter offering to you, not advice, I'm not telling you what to do, would be, is this something, right? Or how much would this help you help other people and serve? That would be my powerful question I would ask you. How much is this going to help you serve other people powerfully?
Awesome. That is a great question and spoken like a true coach. We do have a question here that, and I'm not sure I fully understand the question, so I'm going to kind of paraphrase it. But they're asking about when I was talking in the intro about the happiness piece. What shifted for you, like on a personal level, that like, where were you and where are you now? If that's not too personal.
Oh, I'm open book. That's not too personal. The biggest shift was the awareness that I was applying perspective to all the data in my life, and that I have a choice about the perspective that I apply, and that I can lean on the coaching process to help me to see it. So the analogy I always use with perspective, happiness is subjective well-being, right? So it's how we tend to feel in a given day, our mood, right? Our average mood. At the time, I was not in a great mood a lot of the time, right? I was super pregnant. I was on a very stressful program. I was frustrated because even though I identify so much with productivity and high performance, I was having some challenges with just like getting over some harder hurdles at work. And through the coaching and that perspective management, I always describe the perspectives like we're wearing glasses. Sometimes you just don't even know what glasses you're wearing. And the coaching process can help you to A, see that, and B, switch out for another pair of glasses. So I know that's kind of a big metaphor, but generally that's how it helped me.
Awesome. Okay. So with that in mind, then I've got a question from Hannah here that I think fits really nicely with that. Hi, Hannah. Oh, and you know what? Actually, before I ask this question, just to everybody out there, I'm seeing a lot of questions asking about like how long is our program, what's included. I'm going to redirect you guys to our website. You can download the 9 keys. That'll answer those kinds of questions. There's also a great video on demand on our website called the Roadmap for those of you that are asking questions about like what's the difference between a coaching certification and the ICF, the International Coach Federation. We talk about that a little bit on the Roadmap, so you can listen to that there. And for those types, any of those types of questions, those logistical in nature about our program, feel free to make an appointment to speak with an admissions coach. Okay, they're going to be able to help you with that, but you can get a lot of that information from our website and from the 9 keys. So I'm not ignoring your question. We have Amanda for such a short amount of time. I'm going to ask her the questions that are specific to her and, kind of that type of question so that she can help us kind of get past what we call in the coaching world our gremlins or our holdbacks or our blocks that maybe some of you out there identify with. Like I identify with a lot of what she's saying. But Hannah would like to know, can you talk about the 3 top things that iPEC focused on that helped you?
Okay. Reflecting on a big, long journey.
I know, good question, right?
It's a great question. I love these, like, give me the top 3. That's awesome. That is awesome. That really helps rein it in. So if I had to choose the top 3 off the top of my head, I think the first thing was how to have a conversation with another person and listen in a way you've never listened before. Right? So we hear this all the time, that communication is so much more about listening than it is talking. I think the big, powerful thing that I got out of iPEC was very great strategies on exactly how and a lot of practice, right? So is the listening. The second thing is the frameworks that they teach you. I won't go into a whole ton of detail, but it's just so powerful. I was talking to a coaching friend just yesterday, and we were saying that the framework shows up absolutely everywhere. Like you can't watch a movie, you can't listen to a song, you can't have a conversation with another person without the model coming up, right? So it's extremely powerful, very prevalent, and widely applicable. So I won't go much deeper into that, Heather. You tell me if there's anything else you want me to go into there. I think the third really big thing was the community and the support through the whole process. The relationships that I made in iPEC, that was really the first time that in a long time that I really stepped out of my circles that were what I'll call my default circles, right? So people you tend to always meet at work or people that are just kind of close to you just because, right? Stepping into the community of iPEC, it just like opened this whole big world, all kinds of people, all kinds of backgrounds, all kinds of aspirations and everything. We just happen to be using the same modality of the coaching. And it's awesome. It's very binding. It's a very cohesive community.
Oh, I love that word, cohesive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you touched on that because I think that that's something that a lot of people, especially in today's day and age, we're all heads down into our cell phones or our laptops or whatever. And we end up feeling isolated. And I think that's something that people forget to explore is when you're going to a coach training program, it is well, if you choose iPEC, it's very experiential. And it's an awesome thing to be supported by other people, in real time. It's great.
It is in real time. And I mean, you're not just being supported by people. I think that it's also just the way the program's structured, you're supporting people too. Right. Yeah. So it's very give back as well. It's not, you're not just a taker, you're a giver in the process.
Yeah, everything that iPEC does is structured around helping you become a coach. It's like, and you're right. Like no matter where you look, then you're like, oh. Now, not to bring the vibe down or anything. I just think this is a really great question. It's from anonymous attendee. I don't know if it's the same one or a different one. But I think it's a really great question and something that not a lot of people maybe ask themselves. And I want to, as coaches, we can always talk about the elephant in the room, right? So this question is, what do you like least about being a coach?
That is
great
a really
question,
great question, right? And I'm reflecting not because it's just like such a long list, but I'm just sort of reflecting. I think probably can I tweak the question a bit? Because I would say what frustrates me the most.
Ooh, good. Okay.
Okay. So what frustrates me the most about coaching is that as an industry, the valuation of coaching is really consistently too low, in my opinion. The value that coaches bring, the power of the coaching process, it's so powerful. And I think that gets undermined a lot. And it makes me actually kind of sad, pretty sad, and frustrated at times, because it's like, dude, you can't afford to continue your coaching business if you're not charging enough money. But there's a lot of stuff, right? Those inner dialogues and thoughts that you were just talking about, Heather, come up a lot around money. And because coaches are such giving people, right? I feel like sometimes it can be this negative feedback loop, right? And so I would say that's probably frustrating if you buy into the statistics around the success level of coaches. It cannot be pretty sometimes, but I also don't think that it's necessarily reflected. There's lies, darn lies, and statistics.
Right.
So when you look at those statistical measures, I think people look at that and they go, okay, well, I need to conform to that average. And the real truth of it is that there's a lot that went into those numbers that I think pulls the averages down really artificially. And I think it just pulls the whole industry down. Yeah, that was a great question.
Yeah, and great answer too, because it tells us two things. One, out there to anonymous attendee, what I'm hearing is Amanda saying there's nothing that she doesn't like about coaching. And the second piece of that is what frustrates her is people not knowing their own value. Because to tack on to your previous answer of the three things, right, earlier in the conversation, judging our own self-worth can affect the price that we're charging. So you obviously, you're like, no, I know what I do and I know I'm great at what I do and I know I can deliver that result. So this is me and this is what I'm charging. And so It's frustrating when other people don't recognize their own greatness.
Exactly.
We have another question that is, how long do you plan on coaching?
It's almost like you've been programmed. I can't stop. So that's the funny answer, but honestly, I love this. I really love this. Like, I feel like coaching as a tool, it's never going to leave me. And what's really funny is my husband actually ended up registering for iPEC nearly as I was finishing, because he saw the quality of our conversations had shifted so much. And he says, I want to get better at that. So he registered in iPEC. And, the investment, we talked about it. And I said, look, the thing is whether you become a coach full time and work as a coach or you don't, you're getting a great ROI on this skill and you're going to use it forever, everywhere. Right. So I'm never going to stop. That's the short answer. Not stopping. I can't see a big violent shift away from coaching. That said, I might shift who I coach and I might shift what I coach on, right? I'm definitely going to hold space for that. But for right now, the pure joy that I get out of the process, I just can't see leaving it.
I love that you brought that up about I might change who I coach, right? We get a lot of questions. I'm seeing a lot of these questions too about, choosing a specialty. And so I'm going to kind of address that piece because iPEC gets you a certification in the professional skill set of coaching. So it leaves you that freedom to, Amanda in 10 years, she could completely change her client base. She can do that because she has a certificate in the professional skill set of coaching. I do think it's important that people understand that choosing your specialty is just who do you want to work with on a daily basis? And that might change in 10 years or in 20 years or in 30 years. So when everybody out there, when you're looking at programs, I would invite you to consider thinking about it a little bit differently. What you're looking for is a certification in that professional skill set so you can coach anyone, anywhere, anytime on any subject, as Amanda had just kind of talked about, because she's not planning on stopping anytime soon. Now, I'm also seeing a lot of questions, and hi, Chris, I'm not sure I'm saying it right. It might be Kristen or Christine, but I'm going to say Kristen. Kristen, I saw her question first, but there's lots of other questions that are coming in that are really similar. So I'm going to kind of mash them all together. As you said, you are a wife, you are a mom of 4, and you have this amazing business, and you're a high achiever. How do you balance it all out?
Awesome question. With intention.
Ooh.
Right? So that's the short answer. I balance it all out with intention. So I've actually built a whole business around teaching people how to do this, right? So I really could go on ad nauseum about all the different tips and tricks and ways that you can do it. Just long and short of it is having the intention and having clarity about what is important to you and letting go of stuff that isn't. So for example, I have let go of cleaning my toilets. I hire a housekeeper for that. I am okay with not making that one of my priorities of my time and my weeks, right? I've also scheduled my business that I never, ever, not ever work on Friday nights because that is my date night, right? My weekends, Saturdays, they're about the kids, right? So I've actually built an ideal week template, and I really just think everybody should have one, where I've given some thought about the 168 hours I have available to me. And like a budget, I make sure I've got time for my energy. I've got time for my love. I've got time for my family. I've got time to serve the mission. And then I've got time for everything else. And I'm not going to have time for being everything to everybody, right? So when I choose what I'm going to do, I think, what am I going to do really powerfully? And what is going to, I'm going to have that intention and that design of my life.
I love how you said you created a budget. I actually wrote that down. I was like, ooh, I'm going to snag that from you, Amanda. Yeah, because when you put it that way, there's only 168 hours. How are you going to spend your hours, right?
That's right. That's right. And if you're curious, I really invite you to do a time diary where you keep track of what your primary focus is for, say, 15-minute increments of your day for a week. You will be shocked at how much time you actually have available to you for studying something great, building stronger relationships, heading to the gym, whatever it is that you want to do. I promise you have 20 to 30 hours available to you every week. But a lot of people don't know that, right? Because we're not as intentional about our time.
Nice. Okay. And now, speaking of intention, I'm seeing a lot of questions coming in. And I could be misinterpreting this, but my intuition is telling me there's a lot of fear out there about getting clients, right? So I'm seeing a lot of questions about what do you say? How do you get the first client? All of those types of things. So with that in mind, I know we don't like to give advice as coaches, but I guess the question is twofold. One is, what would be your best piece of advice for getting clients? And coming back to the self-worth part of it, right? So it isn't just a how-to. How do you address the fear of going out there and getting a client?
Great question and big answers. So one of the things that I did was I hired a coach to help me with the fear piece.
Nice.
Shocker. So coaches, that hire coaches, when I'm actually looking for a coach, that's part of what I'll ask them. I'm like, so do you have a coach? Right? Because it demonstrates that they believe in the process, right? So that is something that can help with the fear piece. And there's lots of ways to achieve that in terms of receiving that coaching. And that's part of what I really loved about the iPEC experience was there is experiential coaching all the way throughout, and there's some consistency week to week to week through it. And I absolutely use that, right, to just prime myself for going out there, right, and saying I'm a coach, right. The other thing that I'll say is just a quick psychology concept is the confidence competence loop. So the confidence competence loop is basically this. When you do something, you become more competent, which builds your confidence, which basically primes you to do even more, that builds your competence even more, that boosts your confidence even more, right? So it's this virtuous cycle that the more competent you become, the more confident you become. And so on and so forth, right? It's in a loop. And what a lot of people think is they think, when I'm confident, then I'm going to do the thing competently.
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm. So the way I started was I said, okay, I'm going to use a little bit of confidence to push myself to do this little thing and hold lots of space that it's not going to be right. And hey, some things went right. Built some confidence. Did it again. Now, in terms of like, where do you get clients? Where do you get customers? I think part of that's a bit of a reframe, right? You're not getting anyone. You're not going to get clients, right? What you're going to do is you're going to connect with people, right? So the basic process is this. It's a 4-box process. So I hope you're writing this down. The first box is meet people. Good news. You already know people, right?
Love it.
So then the next box is to have a conversation, right? Get to know the person. Then the next box is match the value of what you're doing to the value of what they want. That's code for sales, sell them, right? And then the last box is deliver. And if you've drawn all 4 of those boxes out, so meet people, talk to them, match the value, deliver, then just draw a little arrow from deliver back to talk to them. And you actually get a little bit of a loop there. Some people are going to keep talking to you. Some people are going to leave and come back, right? So that's it. That's business.
I love it. I love how the first thing is, good news, you already know people. The nice thing about that too is those people already know you. Yes. So like when you're looking at getting that first client, it's probably going to be somebody that already knows you, likes you, trusts you, right? Mm-hmm. So when we're talking about getting clients with strangers, it's as simple as getting them to know you, to like you, to trust you, because you are going to deliver on the value of the thing that they want.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Mm-hmm. Now we have a question from, again, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing anybody's name. I believe it's Cecily. Cecily says aloha. She's in Hawaii, so aloha, Cecily.
Aloha.
Jealous, as you guys can all see the snow behind me. But Cecily is wanting to know, she has a part of her question we already answered, so I'm going to skip to the piece that we didn't answer. And she's really wanting to know, she's asking, how many clients do you have? I'm going to tack on the other piece of when you were in the program, how quickly did you scale? Like everybody starts with the first client. I always tell people, don't worry about getting 20, get one, and then another one, and then another one, and another one. Like you don't worry about eating the elephant in one bite. You just nibble, and then pretty soon the whole elephant is taken care of. So how many clients do you have now? And how did you go from that one client and scale to where you're at now?
That's a great question. So I'm gonna answer it in reverse. So
cool.
You know, the first client was someone who knew me, right? And I chose to charge my first client, and for 8 sessions, I charged her $80. And guess who didn't show up to a single session? So, you know, actually,
wow,
the role in the coaching process, right? Because I like to joke, you know, if their Starbucks budget exceeds their coaching budget, they're not invested in the process, right? So they're less likely to show up to sessions, right? So that's why the money thing probably gets under my skin a little bit with the frustration, because it actually pulls down the quality of what you're able to deliver, believe it or not. So first few clients, yeah, they knew me, right? And what it was I would send an invitation out to them and invite them to have a complimentary session. And you know what? Some people were like, not my thing. Some people were like, sure, you know, and some people were like, yes, you know. And I think that's something to keep in mind is that even if you have the agenda of building a client base, right? Remember, every single person that you're interacting with has their own agenda of what they're trying to do in their life. Mm-hmm. So the most powerful thing I can tell you to scale on clients is master the art of being very interested in other people's agendas, genuinely, right? Because when you can tap into that, you're going to hear where the opportunities are for coaching and whether there's even an opportunity for you to help. Because the honest truth of it is that if you're walking around and there's this kid's book with the duckling and it's looking for its mother and it keeps asking all these different farm animals, are you my mother? Are you my mother? Are you my mother? So if you're going around and you're saying, are you my client? Are you my client? Are you my client? That's very you-centric. That's all about your agenda, right? So think about it. You go into a used car lot, what's going to happen? Salesman comes out. You want to buy this car, or this car, right? Whose agenda is that?
Right.
Car salesman. And it feels icky. Nobody likes it, right? But let's say you're going shopping, I don't know, Nordstrom's, and I'm not paid to promote anybody, but you go shopping at Nordstrom's, right? And they say, oh, can I get you a coffee? Can I bring you a new outfit to try on? Right? And it's all about you. So that experience, you're more likely to shell out the money and make the connection, right? Because they're invested in making you feel good, right? They're invested in your agenda. And that's really, really obvious, right? And so they're willing to let go of the people that aren't willing to buy anything today because they know that when they're invested in that person and what they want to get out of it, then they're going to show up and they're going to want to have that transaction, that interaction. So how many clients do I have? Right now I'm carrying, I want to say 8. And in my practice, I have a cap, right? So I don't want to have more than 12. And I've already calculated my absolute max is 15. Because here's the thing, sometimes you've got people that sign on for a relatively short period of time. Some people are on a longer schedule and everybody starts at different times. So there's going to be times when you've got fewer clients and times when you might have more clients. So I've already done my intentional calculation on timing based on how much time I have, based on, how many sessions we're having, intensives we're having, and so on. I know that if I have more than 15 people, I'm running into a time problem, right? Mm-hmm. So I never carry more than 15. I target 12. And I'm happy with the 8 to 9.
Nice. So, love it. And for everybody out there, everybody who's asking a lot of the business questions, the logistical stuff for that, because again, we're short on time. We only have her for another 15 minutes. So we're not going to get into the whole how-tos because we're just short on time. But for those of you that are asking that question, Amanda just gave you guys like little mini business lesson right there, because as coaches, you can shape your business however you want. What's your cap? How many one-to-one clients do you want to work with? It doesn't matter that that's what Amanda's doing. That's what works for her. Sure. Little side note, little plug for iPEC. That's why we include a success coach in our program. It's to help you define what does success look like to you. Okay. Quick little reason for that. Like, for instance, Amanda has a cap. She's got her time budget. She knows exactly the amount of money that she wants to make and the time that she's willing to invest in that, right? That's different from what I view as successful. Part of what I view as successful is I work with iPEC and I have private clients. We have 2 different views. Neither one is wrong. It's what makes it successful for you. So don't get too caught up in, because I'm seeing a lot of questions of, well, how does she do this? What does she charge? Doesn't matter. What's right for you? Like, think about it from that standpoint, okay? So I'm going to move on to this next question, which I think is really, really powerful. Actually, there's 2 questions here I've got lined up. The first is from Anonymous. What are the top 3 mistakes that you see ineffective coaches making?
There's like these trigger words, right, Heather? Advice, mistakes. So, the reason that mistake, by the way, is a bit of a trigger word is we usually, we actually, it's not a mistake until you look back and you go, I could have done something different.
Oh, love it.
Right?
Love it. Yeah.
It only becomes a mistake when you look back because you wouldn't do it if you had that information beforehand. Right? Mm-hmm. So, that's just kind of a fun little aside. So, but things that I see maybe undermining the effectiveness of a coach. One, maybe overcomplicating that process. You know, that 4-box process that I just shared with you? Uh-huh. I have heard a lot of starting out coaches, they say, I can start out when I have a website. And what if I told you that I knew of coaches that are close to 7 figures in revenue that have no website whatsoever? Right? Brendan Burchard is a really big name in coaching as well, kind of outside of the iPEC world, but he actually doesn't even have business cards. Right. So I think kind of one of the things is just choose where you put your energy and make sure that it matters. And so those 4 boxes matter. Meet people, have conversations, match the value, and deliver. Those things really matter, right? Having a logo, having a business name, having a website, doing social media promotion necessarily, right? All of those things, you can think of them as like enhancements, right? Once you've got those core 4 things, then you can add, right? Maybe you need to meet more people. Okay, let's add some marketing spend. Let's add some advertising to this, right? I think that people start with the super complicated because that's what they see, right? They're experiencing that because they're getting the advertising from more established people, right? And then they think that's where I have to start. But the truth is that everybody is starting really with those 4 main boxes. It's just maybe kind of gets lost in the success story, right?
Yeah. Well, and it comes back to what you were saying too about the confidence piece, because there's a lot of people, it's safe to work on your business, to spend the majority of your time working on your business instead of in your business.
Yeah, exactly. And then I would also say that the other thing is procrastinating on getting started. Just in general, like just calling it what it is. Often they use that complexity as the reason why they didn't send an email to their friends, right? Or pick up the phone. Pick up the phone, people, right? And so I think that's the other thing. And then, I mean, if I just really cast like a very, very, very wide definition of what a coach is I think actually clarity on what it is that they're going to be solving and how they're going to solve it for the client. I see a lot of people that are like, that say I'm a coach, and it's like, okay, cool. What do you coach on? And they get really, I'm a coach and I help people, be more confident. And I think that gets confusing because everybody wants to be more confident, I guess, but it's not clear to the client, like, well, what's that going to enable you to do? Right. And how are you going to get me to be more confident? I think iPEC with the I call it the modality, like just everything that they teach you, that gives you the structure, the tool set that you can then go solve the problem. So I think ineffective coaches either don't have the tool set, right, or they don't have the clarity on the problems that they're actually solving with people.
Right. Okay. Now, to that, and as follow-up to the whole ineffective, what are the things 3 top things you see ineffective coaches doing? Because that's a lot with like the business piece.
Sure.
What do you think about coaching? Like actual coaching? Yeah. So like if we say if you say you can deliver this result, how do you be confident? How do you know that you can deliver that result?
So I think in terms of the actual coaching practice, something I see a lot is overdoing it, over coaching. And a lot of that's driven off of taking ownership over your client's agenda, right? So your clients come to you because they want to achieve some kind of an outcome and they're not doing the work. What I see sometimes happen is coaches will inject themselves and take a lot more responsibility for the client's performance than honoring the coaching process. So I think that can get in the way of effectiveness. It also undermines the client's empowerment to actually make the change themselves. So that can be an efficacy problem. And third thing, it empowers the client to blame you, coach, for them not getting the result.
All of those things just made me like cringe.
icky cringe. But it's the danger zone. And I'll even, I'll admit, like, that's something that I have to be mindful of. I have to pay attention to.
Yeah. I want to make sure we have time to talk about your crush method too. I think we've got time to get one more question in. It's a good one. It's a short one. You had mentioned earlier that you hired a coach. So yes. Do you still currently have a coach? Why or why not?
Yes, I do. Candidly, I have a few, right? So my main coach helps me with energy and mindset. We're actually meeting later today. So she really works with me on staying very powerful in what I do generally. So she's a business coach, but she's really a life coach. She does the energy coaching as well. So she's like my main coach. I also, because of the stage I'm at in my business, I'm scaling and everything. I also have engaged coaches that are more specific to the business needs that I have right now. And then I've also worked with coaches in the past on just my personal health, right? So yes, I believe in it. Yes, it's an expense I'm going to have forever, but I don't really view it as an expense so much as an investment.
Love it. Love it. And that speaks to not only the power of coaching, but also every good coach has a good coach. So
absolutely. And I'll be honest, I never hired a coach before I went through iPEC, and I just saw what a difference it made. I like to say that in the span of 6 weeks, even, or 6 months, so much more progress and growth than in the prior 6 years.
Awesome. Incredibly powerful.
Very powerful.
I don't want to run out of time before we actually get to talk about what it is that you do and the people that you help and your crush method. So do you want to tell us more about that and where people can connect with you?
Absolutely. So the Crush Method is my program. I have the Crush Method for coaches. It is business coaching and core energy coaching. So a lot of this mindset stuff that we talked about around the confidence to meet people. So whether that's networking, whether that's working within the framework of the people that you already know, the packaging, the pricing, client acquisition, the consistency, making sure that you have time for it. So I love working with new coaches and aspiring coaches to really set that up for themselves very powerfully and successfully in the first place. Mm-hmm. I am a core energy coach. So yes, I definitely help with a lot of that mindset perspective stuff. So that's the Crush Method. In terms of catching up with me, I offer 15-minute strategy sessions for free. And so if you're interested in that, you can either reach out to me by email, and my email is Amanda@AmandaKaufman, that's KAUFMAN.net, and just say, hey, I'm interested, strategy session. It's free, no sales zone. I'll just help you. I'll give you 1 point for whatever you are struggling with as you're launching your coaching business. And if you want to follow me on Facebook, I am at Kaufman Services. That's KAUFMAN Services. And it shows up as Making It Happen with Amanda Kaufman. You can follow my page there. And I also have a free Facebook group called The Crush Method. And so if you message me on Facebook, I will happily add you to my free group. I do lives in there. We have conversations in there that are just designed to help you get the juices flowing on some ideas, really continue a lot of the conversation that we've had here as it relates to your coaching business as you're getting going.
Awesome. That is amazing. And again, just part of being part of the iPEC family. I mean, this is what iPEC people do. We're supportive. We give things away. And this is how Amanda is giving back. And now for those of you that are not coaches yet, that are thinking about whether or not to enroll in a program, just so you know, iPEC actually includes business development as part of the program. But when I say that, a lot of what Amanda and I have been talking about today is be a powerful coach, be able to get the result that you say you can get, right? You could build this amazing business, but if you can't deliver on the result, nobody's going to keep coming back to you, right? So whether you choose iPEC or not, please choose a program of value. Go out there, get your certification, become a powerful coach, and then start to build that business. And building that business is going to start to become organic. And they are two different skill sets, but you don't want to put the cart before the horse. So get your coach training, build that confidence, have a good understanding of what coaching is, what you're delivering on, start to build that business. And you can be just like Amanda and you can build that business while you're in coach training. Like you don't have to wait till the very, very end, but you can if you want to. So is there any just in our last few minutes, do you have any last words of wisdom or anything that you would like to share with us?
I will just say just a couple of features of the iPEC coaching program. You just mentioned the Quick Start program. So, for someone who especially like business, that's a new thing. Awesome. awesome, right? Because it gives you all the different components that you're going to want to have in place as you're launching a business. So that's powerful. And, even coming from my background where I was pretty comfortable in that space, I found the exercises in that program to be very clarifying.
And what Amanda's talking about is included in the iPEC program.
That's included in the iPEC program. You also mentioned, Heather, the Success Coach program. And my first Success Coach conversation, I think, was probably one of the more pivotal experiences that I had during iPEC, where I really crystallized. I had set a date, believe it or not, of 3 weeks ago to quit my corporate job. And because of the Success Coach program, I really got aligned to realizing that was actually hanging on much too long for what I really wanted to do. And I credit that conversation with me moving much faster on my business. Like Heather said at the beginning, I had paying clients at target rates before I even had my oral exam. And a lot of that had to do with the inspiration, the confidence, and the plan that I came out with from the success coaching piece of the program in particular. So I just really wanted to highlight those. I know they're kind of extras beyond the core program, but those extras, those are powerful. Those are real good goodies.
Thank you so much, because, we tell people that, but I think coming from you, it's a little bit more powerful. That's, to me, that one of the reasons I chose iPEC was it wasn't just about going in, learning some stuff, leaving. Like, they really want you to be successful. And they're like, what else can we jam in here to help you be successful? Like, we can't do it for you, but exactly. We can give you absolutely everything possible so that you can go out and be successful.
Exactly. While still staying very focused on the skill of coaching, like you said, the skill that will allow you to really, really support and serve people powerfully.
Love it. Yeah. Love it. Everybody out there, if we weren't able to get to your exact question, and I'm sorry, there were a lot of questions that were similar, so I did smush them together. But if we weren't able to get to your exact question, and it has to do with the iPEC program, what's included, hours, logistics, blah, 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 all that stuff, feel free to download the 9 keys. Feel free to make an appointment with an admissions coach. Feel free to listen to the roadmap. That's an on-demand presentation. That doesn't just talk about iPEC program. That talks about the ICF and different programs and what you should look for and what's the difference between a mentor and a coach and all that good stuff. It's about an hour long, but it's jam-packed with information. Lots of good freebies out on iPEC's website. And one more time, Amanda, could you tell us again how to connect with you? So if you guys want to connect directly with Amanda, you can do so.
Absolutely. So Facebook's probably the best. It's at Kaufman, Kaufman services, one word. That's my page. If you go on there, you're going to see Amanda Lavelle. That's my married name. You can also add me as a friend on Facebook. That's cool. Just shoot me a message and I'm happy to add you to the Crush Method private group. That's the best way to get a hold of me. And like I said, free 15-minute strategy sessions for someone who really wants to continue the conversation beyond today.
Wow. Awesome. Amanda, thank you so much for being here. That hour just flew by.
Totally. It went like lightning fast. I was like 10 minutes. Nope.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for taking time out of your day to be here with us. Thank you to Amanda for spending time with us today. And again, reach out to Amanda, reach out to iPEC Coaching. Lots of different avenues to help you guys decide what is the best next step for you. So as always, thank you so much for being here. And everybody out there, I hope that I wish for you the ability to be happy and to choose a life and a profession of your choosing. So thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.